Welcome everybody. We are going to do a quick and dirty, quick tips for spring cleaning on your website. I have started developing some checklists to work you through some of the how to think about organizing your tackling of your website review and cleanup. I really think this is something that you should do at least once a year, maybe twice a year. If you're energetic enough, quarterly is amazing. But I really think springtime is a great time as we're getting into summer reading, and some of us have hours that change at the beginning of summer. A really good time to just take 20 minutes and go through the checklist and start sending in those help tickets for, oh, I found that this is wrong and I really need to clean this up. As I have said, this week is spring cleaning week, and we have sessions on Wednesday, Thursday, that we will be doing spring cleaning all the way through. Make your list, bring your list, and we're just going to tackle things on your website. So let me share my screen. And I'm going to put this into chat for those of you online. This is the link to my spring cleaning in development page. I'm going to share this. It's nothing too fancy yet. What we have is spring cleaning and cleaning up your website. And right now I have two checklists on here. These are available for download. So you can download this, you can print it out for yourself. And I've broken up, ooh, that's a typo already, I found it there. I've broken it up into two sections. There is the back end review and the front end review. And there's some overlap, but you may choose to do one or the other. You probably are thinking about your front end review more than anything, where we actually go through what people are seeing on your website. But the back end review is something that is helpful to just make sure, and you may only need to do this once every 2 or 3 years, honestly. But this is just something quick and dirty to be able to make sure your website is functioning well. So I am going to pull up a website here, and I was messing around. I was helping with a ticket at Webster, and so that one's still up. I'm going to go to the Webster Larson Family Public Library and use them as my example today. And in my checklist for the back-end review, I'm going to go very quickly through these different categories that you can check. The back-end should be fairly fast. But I'm going to do this in a way that you see where everything is. And then my intention is to make some links so that you can see these in action individually. But what we're looking at first in the back-end review are things that normally Lean Wisconsin is going to take care of for you, but there's 130 websites out there, and we can't promise to get to all of them all the time. Or, you know, like we don't, things can change and we might miss something. It's your website. You guys are going to care about your website and have that ownership. So I want you to know that you can take a look at this and then just send us notifications if you see problems. The first thing is plugins. So this is on your website under plugins on that dashboard page. And it's the little thing that looks like an electrical plug. The very, very quick, while this loads, review of what a plugin is it's a tool that helps your website function. It's an add-on. And they're not all, they're developed for WordPress, but they're not developed by WordPress. What we have done, a change that we have made, is that we have essentially set all of your plugins to auto update. If you go to your plugins page and find one that says enable auto updates, go ahead and click enable updates. For some reason, I found that even though we turn them on, every once in a while they revert to auto updates. So they should actually all say disable auto updates rather than enable. If it says disable, you're fine, you're good to go. You don't need to worry about running updates because they will automatically happen. And this one says right here, automatic update is scheduled in 8 hours. You can go ahead and hit update if you want, but you don't have to. If you see that there is an update that is deactivated and you're not using, a best practice is to go ahead and delete that plugin so it's not sitting there as a security vulnerability. If you really want to dig in deep and you see that there's plugins that you know you don't use, if you're not sure, leave them. If you're not, and send us a ticket, send us a request. If you know you don't use it, deactivate it and remove it. You don't have to do this. This is the main thing, is to make sure that your updates are set to enable auto updates. The next thing on our checklist is themes. Themes are found under appearance and themes. The only thing you should need to do here is make sure that there are only 2 themes. And so this one, we can actually get rid of 2024. We don't need that one anymore. And then the other thing with the remaining themes is this is a new thing to enable auto updates on themes. WordPress didn't do this before. We always had to manually. So you can come in and click enable auto update. Even if the theme is not active, you should have 2 themes, one as a regular theme and one as a backup. And now you can come in and you can enable auto updates on those themes, even if it's not an active theme. You may find eventually, actually, I said only 2 themes. I'm going to amend that. Eventually, you're going to have 3 themes. You are going to have a child theme. It's a Divi child theme that is for accessibility. Then you are going to have Divi, and then you are going to have a new year theme like 2025, then eventually 2026. Then you will have 3 themes. So I'm correcting myself, making sure you have 3 themes when you have a Divi child theme, Divi, and that theme. And once you're done with that, you're done. Then, oh, this is actually a mistake. This should say, now we're going to move to menus, but we're going to do this on the front end. I'm only going to show you very quickly that under appearance, there is menus, and there are a list of menu items. This might be easier for you to edit on the front end, but you can from here review that these are the items you truly want in your website menu. Okay, I made a mistake in headings. This user list is accurate, should have its own heading under users. Every once in a while, come in here and make sure that the users listed on your website are correct to who is actually going to be accessing your website. If you have somebody who has left your library 6 years ago and they're still in your user list, it's time to remove them. You can either do that yourself, but if you feel way more comfortable, send a help ticket to us and just say, I need to update my user list, and we can come in and do that. General settings. This is under settings. The next chunk of couple things here is under settings, and we're mainly going to look at this general area. This again is something that you only need to look at maybe once every 2 or 3 years. Just make sure that the title and your tagline on your site and your site icon are accurate. If you do not have a site icon, send in a help ticket and we can help add one to you. This is the little thing you see. It's the site icon or the favicon or the navicon is what appears at the top tab and identifies you rather than just by a WordPress logo. Correct information here is webmaster@iflis.lib.wi.us for the administration email address. You may get queued every once in a while saying, is this information correct? WordPress would like to know. Yes, webmaster@iflis is the correct administrative email address for your website. The next thing to scroll down is to make sure your time zone is set to Chicago. I have found websites where it is just generic UTC. And then the information on your website is not being posted with correct time stamps. Date format, probably most likely you would want to choose April 14th, 2025. So month, day, year, which is this FJY setup. Time format, 1:18 p.m. So the first ones here, the defaults are probably correct. And then the other thing that you may find incorrect on your website is the week starts on. So for us in America, most often we say that the week starts on Sunday. The European standard is to have the week start on Monday. And so for your calendar and appearances, a lot of times this setting is important. And if you want that to be correct, set your website week starts on to Sunday. Then just one last quick thing is discussion. So under settings, there is the menu item discussion. For here, we are going to the best of our ability, make sure that all commenting is disabled on our websites. I believe we have done this on all of your sites, but that doesn't mean we didn't miss one. And that all doesn't mean that things haven't changed, because sometimes WordPress updates things. We do not use our websites as a discussion forum. So I highly recommend that you uncheck all of this information, and then or unless you want to check automatically close comments on old posts. Actually, this is a good one. Other comments. Comment author must fill out name and email. Users must be registered. Automatically close comments. And you can even write 0 days old here. Uncheck the allow people to submit comments on new posts. And then email me whenever anyone posts a comment or a comment is held for moderation. That will send email to the administrative email address. And then also say comment must be manually approved, comment author must be previously approved. Basically what we're doing is locking out the ability, because if you're not signed in, if you haven't commented before, all this stuff, people aren't going to be able to make comments. And then we save those changes, and that will turn off commenting on your website. So that's the back end checklist. These are things that maybe 2-3 years go by and you're like, it's just time to double check on the backside of my website, maybe once a year, just to make sure it's all up to date. Now for the more exciting part. This should say front end review. I realized that I posted this before before totally reviewing my work here. So we have on the website cleanup page, we have the website review checklist for the front end review. We are going to go through the basics. And then I think this is where we really are going to start digging into the things that people want to know about or to work on their website. The important thing is to look at it. If you don't know how to fix it, you can always send in a ticket to website help@librarieswin.org. If you have a ton of questions and you're like, I just need to project work my way through this checklist, we can set up a time to go through it together, and we can talk our way through your checklist or come up with some suggestions. Beth, if at the end of this, you look at the Baldwin website and you're like, I still don't feel like I'm really happy with my website, even after I've checked all of the content here, maybe it's time for a rebuild, and you can put your request in to be put into the cycle to look at rebuilding your website. Brendan is actively building. We are building for accessibility. We're learning a lot about that. And sometimes actually building a new site is easier than retrofitting a site for accessibility. I say that though also with the caveat of there's 130 websites, so we're not going to be able to build 130 websites immediately, but over time, a rebuild and a refresh is absolutely something that just gets to be, it is just timely. There's just better ways of doing things. So let's look quickly at a website and go through a front-end review. First thing is to check your header and your footer information, and sometimes this is kind of the same, but you want to make sure that your phone number is still accurate, that your hours, which is probably the most important thing seasonally, are accurate, because some of you have summer hours and winter hours. And if this needs to change, we need to review how to do that. Make sure that your social icons are still correct, that they're going out to active social media. If you used to have Twitter and now you have X, or you've gotten rid of X, and that information is still in your header bar, that needs to go away. Check your logo in case you've done a rebrand and you haven't updated the logo on your website. I hope you have, but Reb is on here, and you IFLS libraries will get a shame if you have done a rebrand and not updated your website. Check, this is the same thing as that menu check. It might be easier on the front end, but make sure that everything in your top menu is still accurate and that all of the content in your drop-down menus is also, right now we're just looking at names. Don't click through to the individual pages, but just make sure that, oh yeah, we still do have Canopy, and that you don't have a link to something like what's been discontinued. Gale Courses was discontinued. New York Times was discontinued for Northern Waters libraries. If you have links in here that are not, that are to resources that are no longer offered. Then we're going to skip to the bottom of the page and look at your footer. Again, you should have your address updated. You should have a phone number, fax number, your contact email. And again, if your hours are down here, that these should be up to date. And check your, if you have a Google map or something embedded down here, that it's still pointing to your library. So those are your header and footer informations and the menu. The next thing is to review your homepage. If you're not on your website on a regular basis and you kind of use it more as a static page, make sure that everything in your post slider, if you have one, is up to date and accurate, that you don't have a program that has discontinued floating through here still. Check your calendar information and make sure that all the programs in your calendar is still up to date and that you're still doing using the same calendar, and you haven't switched to promoting your programs through a different way and no longer updating your calendar. The next thing, look through any of the other headings on your website for resources. So I'm going to scroll down here. I'm skipping that for a second. So this one has how can we help you as your page, and it has links to 4 different featured resources. I'm noticing on here that the New York Times is an inaccurate link. Northern Waters stopped offering New York Times access, so this blurb should be replaced with another resource that is currently being offered by the library and the system. So check for outdated information or information that is no longer relevant to your library. Let's see, the next thing to look for are book carousels. Is this information still accurate? Are the carousels still up to date? Are you featuring older book lists that need to be refreshed and renewed? Are they broken? Contact forms. I don't have an example on here, but some libraries have an email newsletter sign up or similar type of item on their website that you go through a contact form. Test it, put it in, see if you get a result, make sure that that is still sending to a valid email address and that the result you're getting is still good. Other call to actions, maybe you had a fundraising campaign featured on your website that is timed out and is no longer being offered. Make sure that that information is there. Then the other thing that I skipped over, I didn't do it intentionally, is the broken link check. Click on every link on your page. You can probably skip over the ones within Talkify or an external calendar because those are going to be populated through that. And you can probably skip over the ones that are in your book carousels. But if there's a link here to like Wisconsin's Digital Library, click on these and just make sure they open up to something accurate. And the New York Times might go to a valid place, but you no longer have the access code that works. So click on every single link, make sure they all work. And finally, the clutter check. This is a little bit more of a judgment call. This is the Beth Baldwin questions. Beth in Baldwin's question about, is it time to refresh my website? It looks cluttered. I don't feel like it's easy to navigate. Maybe there's some simple things to add, like these button links that will allow people to jump through your content a little bit more easily. Maybe it's time for a total redo, but just do the clutter check and go through and make sure that it's still looking fresh and clean. Your homepage is the most important page because that is your landing page for your site, but don't ignore the rest of your website. So I just made a very quick, you can basically rinse and repeat the steps for your homepage as far as the resource links, book carousels, broken link check is super important on those. The other thing that is really important is check for relevance and accurate information. I found a lot of websites where it'll say on the front page something like photocopies 50 cents a page or 25 cents a page, and then somewhere buried in the website services page, library services or something like that, it'll say photocopies 10 cents. So you may have information that, like right here, Sears says 25 cents a page, but maybe on the front page it said 10 cents. Make sure that when you're updating your information, you go through the rest of your website and just read through it and make sure that this stuff is still up to date. So maybe that's a project you take a page a day sort of thing for however many days it takes. Broken link check, click on all your links. And then are there contact forms or other resource information that are no longer working or relevant buried on your website? So that is my very fast checklist overview. And the reason I'm doing this, I want this to be a quick tip. We are going to build out some additional resources, breaking down each one of these steps so that when you bump into a couple things, maybe you can address it yourself, how to update your hours, how to update your menu information. And again, if you get stuck on any of this, please do not hesitate to send in an email to websitehelp@librarieswin.org. Either detail the change you need made or request a time that we can book an hour and go through your website together. Thank you very much. I'd like to keep recording in case there are any questions. So throw some questions into chat or speak up, and we'll keep recording for a little bit, but then we're going to work on some actual websites and getting things cleaned up. I did get a general question. How do I edit the header and footer of my website? This is a really, really good question. And I'm going to keep recording and I'll probably break this out into a quick tip. Headers and footers are being moved generally to what's called the Divi, come on, dashboard. Let's see. The Divi global header and global footer sections. Loading. Okay. So under Divi, there is what's called the theme builder. And this is a work in progress. So I'm going to show you two different ways depending on your website. The theme builder, a lot of you probably will only have a global footer at this point, and eventually you will have what's called a global header. The global footer lives in the theme builder, and it's this bright green thing, and it has a pencil next to it. When you click on that pencil, you will get down to that footer section that has any of your hours or other information in it. Eventually, it'll be very similar for the global header, where that will be housed in the same spot. But this is part of, if you saw my accessibility email earlier today, one of the steps in a long-term rebuild process is to move everybody's menus and information up to that. So this area is edited by opening up that global footer, and you can click in here. This is a new feature for many websites where it's called the Divi Supreme Business Hours. This is being rolled out. It's a little bit different. It just makes your business hours look a little cleaner. Some of you still just have text boxes. This one, you would edit the dates by clicking on each day. So if your Monday hours change, you would click on Monday, open up the text box, and you would change your Monday hours for summer. So it's a pretty easy edit from there. Then the next thing, though, the trickier part is how do you edit as it opens, I'm just going to close these out and get them out of my way. How do I edit this information? So if you have your hours in this bar up at the very top, that you get to by going into Appearance and Customize. And I'm going to have quick tips for each one of these put into that document on the website. So this will be documented. This is under, you have your site identity here. This is under header and navigation and header elements. And if you come into header elements, you will see the phone number. And then what in most cases has happened is that the hours are just being listed up here in this bar up by phone number. For accessibility reasons, this might not be a best practice. I'm just showing you what is. We will be looking at this and making sure, for the most part, screen readers are handling this pretty well, but there may be some better practices on how the information is given. This is just a quick tip today on how to get to it, and we'll talk about better practices, but now I know how to get to it. So again, quick review. That is under theme and customize and header navigation. So theme builder is down here, appearance, customize. So theme builder for the global footer, customize, header navigation, header elements for all of the information at the top bar of your website. Other questions? Okay, then I'm going to stop the recording and we're just going to dive into, with the minutes remaining, some actual activities. And again, come back all this week and possibly into the month of May, and we'll keep doing this.